It's Cardboard Time, episode number 76, and I'm your host, Arwen Kathke. On today's episode is our top 10 games of the year, and to do that with me is the wonderful, amazing, outstanding. I have so many descriptors for you. Olivia Lothary, hello.
Hello.
How are you doing?
I love coming back. I feel like I would like this. We didn't talk about this prior, but I want to make this a post-PAX tradition now. I think we did it post-PAX. I don't remember, but last year we were together and I'm like, this is good. We should do this.
This feels right.
Yeah.
This feels really good. I did my stream with Jamie, or my...
Yeah.
I keep calling it a stream. It's not a stream.
Yeah.
It felt like a stream because it was live.
Yeah.
But I did my podcast doing the PAX wrap-up, and then we can go into the top 10 of the year with the two of us. So
yeah, I love this. Yeah.
Yeah. So what have you been up to?
Oh my God.
Just to start off, because I need a little ramp-up time before I get to my shelf of shame, because it's going to be a long list.
Yeah, so last we spoke on here, I was working with Resonim. I have since left on great terms, and now I'm with Flat River Group. I'm a vendor liaison over there, so I am working with dozens of publishers, which has just been an absolute joy. I really love getting to know everybody and helping them out on our side, and finally actually having time to play more games. A lot of the games on my list were games that we've played, which I'm excited to see if there's crossover. But yeah, I have been both busy and also finally relaxing, which is very nice for me.
I love the relaxation part because it's needed. You know, you need that relaxation time so you can do your work and be your best self. So
yeah, and I feel like I should maybe play a game or two during the week while I'm working, because that's research. I've got to research some of our games, and like, that's perfect.
I mean, it's absolutely research. It's part of your job. Mm-hmm. It's something that you need to be educated on.
Yeah.
So you're doing it for the team.
Thank you. I appreciate that.
Yeah. We're gonna make this happen.
Yeah.
Okay, well, let's get to the Shelf of Shame update so that we can get into the meat of the episode. I am going to ramble off a bunch of stuff, and then, Olivia, if you feel like jumping in and kind of saying a couple of things about some of the stuff that I'm going to mention, please feel free.
Love that.
So, my Shelf of Shame, it's been a few episodes since we talked about it, but it is up to 154, which is only up by 4. Which I think is kind of amazing.
You said up by 4 earlier before we started this, and I was like, that's fantastic. And then I just now realized you said 154, and my heart stopped.
Yeah.
Then again, to be fair, I have not checked how many are on my list, and it's at least 24. So, like, no big deal.
Yeah, exactly. It's a matter of scale.
Yeah.
It's a matter of scale. And I'm going to bring it down a little bit. I think hopefully I'm kind of done with my purchases for myself at least this year. I know one of the gifts I have coming, and it hasn't been given to me yet. I think I'm getting it on Saturday, but it's a little game that we played at PAX called Papagino.
Mr. Papagino himself.
I love the blessed Mr. Papagino.
I'm excited that you're getting that. That's a good one. That's going to be off your list in no time. So honestly, that net
it's
zero.
Already off. It's already
true.
off my
yes,
because we played it.
We played it.
It's a beautiful thing. So I don't have to worry about that. I'm just kind of worried about the mailbox. There's Kickstarters that are like, are they going to come in? Are they not going to come in? We'll see where I end up for the year.
I just added one to my shelf of shame, and I wonder if it's also on your list because it was a Kickstarter or Game Found. Sleeping Gods, Distant Skies. I backed that one.
I have never played.
Neither have I.
I have, well, apparently, if it's on your shelf of shame, you haven't played. It's a game that I haven't played. I've heard a lot about, but I haven't actually gotten, anybody to get it to the table with me or anything. So Okay, I'd like to at some point.
Maybe then I need to drive to Ohio so that I can come over with the big box, because it arrived and I was like, oh no, what have I done?
There might be an opportunity for you to do that we're going to talk about after the show, but we can't talk about it with people quite yet because details aren't finalized. But we're kind of excited for a thing. So on the Shelf of Shame, the incoming games, let's go over the list. From Kickstarter, I got Nova Roma and 20 Strong. I have since played both. Nova Roma is a game that I will talk about at some point on the podcast. I also believe that I'm going to talk about 20 Strong because I feel very strongly about both of those games. Nova Roma is the latest from the designer of Resurgence and Lockup. Both games which I absolutely love, and this spoiler is no exception. So under review copies, I got a review copy of Cafe Barras, the 2-player version, which we got to check out a little bit at PAX Unplugged. That also got to the table. The little hotel table next to the sofa. Cheese Factory, which we also got to play.
That was so cute. That was so cute.
What a fun little cute game.
Yeah.
Since it is a review copy, I kind of have to do a review on it. It's not going to be on this episode, but it will be something that I talk about probably on the next episode because we did play it. I do want to talk about it. Inheritors is another one. This was from North Star, and it's a little small box game that I'm very intrigued by. I'm getting more into the small box games. It's just the kind of thing that hits the table a little bit easier for me. Usually the rules overhead is a little bit less. It's small form factor, so it's a little bit more compact. I can bring it with me everywhere. That kind of thing. Go ahead.
I completely forgot because I remember, I'm like having deja vu. I did this the last time that I was on the podcast where you were talking about games and I'm immediately Googling them on my phone. This is so cute. Mm-hmm. The art on this is stunning. Mm-hmm. I feel like you need to bring me on these more regularly so that I can get game referrals so you can tell me which games to get just based on your Shelf of Shame. I love this for me.
Yes. See, I'm providing a service.
Yeah.
That's what I do.
To me directly. Thank you. Keep going.
Exactly. One game that is not small box is Virtual Revolution, and this is a very interesting area control game by Hachette. So I'm very interested to check this one out. I've been wanting to take a look at it for quite a while, and fortunately I get a chance to. And another one in that category is World Wonders by Arcane Wonders. I am very intrigued by this. I've heard a lot of really, really good buzz about World Wonders, so picked that one up as well while I was there. And to round out things from review copy territory, Dungeons & Dragons Dungeon Scrawlers by WizKids, the Heroes of Waterdeep. A very interesting real-time game where you have your dry erase marker on a map, and based on the different rooms you have to do different things. So it might be connecting different points in a certain order, it might be tracing an outline, it might be going and trying to cast a spell, and each thing that you do gets you points, but if you do it wrong it deducts points. If you go through a wall, that's the end of your run. And then there's a big boss at the end of it that you have to completely scribble out. So it seems very frantic, kind of on the lighter side of things. But again, those are the games that I can get out very easily to the table. And there's a lot of maps included. I think there's 10 different maps that you I was going to say,
they look like a lot of maps. And also the rule book is printed as if it was an old notebook. I don't know how to describe. You know, the black kind, like the black tape on the side. Looks just like that. Composition book. Thank you. Yep. So cute. You know, it reminds me of Dungeons, Dice, and Danger, but that one kind of fell flat for us at 2-player. So I've been looking for something that could like emulate that, like give me that, but just like one step up. This seems really cute.
That kind of cute but goofy dungeon crawly vibe, which I did like the Triple D at the other Triple D at a solo count. I got many plays of that in while I was recovering from surgery, so I liked it solo. Wasn't quite as good multiplayer.
Yep, I think multiplayer, we were all kind of doing similar things. And so it really was just like slight tweaks when someone went off a different way and they maybe got something. I don't think I realized I could play it solo. So I should try that, because I think that would hit much better for me as a solo, just like a thinky, only me playing. I'm going to try that out.
I passed a bunch of hours that way. It was great.
Yeah.
I absolutely love that solo. It was a lot of fun. And that's why it's stuck around.
Yeah.
I don't think that that's one that would stick around for the multiplayer aspect of it.
Yep. Same.
So I did also make some purchases, because of course I did. You have to while you're at a convention, you know, the things that you really want. Yeah, exactly. I do deserve it. Thank you. Tiger and Dragon is a game that I purchased. I also got it to the table. I would really like to review this on the next episode, because I'm excited about it. I'm excited for people to know about it. This is Oink Games. It's like the Mahjong tile game that they had there. Had a good experience with it. I do want to review it and talk about maybe a couple of the cons that you might experience with it, but overall very positive. Our group enjoyed it. And then also from Oink Games, Dropolter, Dropolter. Everybody was buying this at PAX Unplugged. Yeah. Everybody.
Yeah. I think
everybody's
Tiffany
walking around with that box.
Tiffany at some point was describing it to a group, and I was like, yes, I would like to play this. It sounds, but I'm an Oink lover. Honestly, anything that Oink makes, I'm probably just gonna buy. Like, you can't go wrong spending, $20 on a small box game and playing it a couple of times just to figure it out. I love it.
Yeah, and usually, especially at a convention, somebody's bought the games in your friend group. Somebody has bought them, so you can at least try them out before purchasing them. And they usually have like one or two of those new games that people are talking about. I think Tiger and Dragon and Dropolter were the two this time that people were really excited about. I think at Origins it was A Fake Artist Goes to New York, if I remember correctly. So it's the kind of thing that you're always going to have, one or two of those games that they're going to bring that everybody's going to buy, and you can at least try it out and say, is this for me or is it not?
Yep.
So then Everything Ever was one that I wanted to make sure that I bought, and that is Nathan Thornton's new party game, which I haven't done it yet. So we got this played. We actually played that at the Tabletop Express meetup, which was a lot of fun. We had a great time with it on its own.
Yes.
However, you can combine it with Medium and Green Team Wins and that to make a mega game.
I'm sorry, what?
Yeah. He made rules to combine all three, and I think it's genius.
I'm gonna say something, and I'm so sorry. I'm so sorry to is Cardboard Express. Dave Grohl.
Tabletop.
Who is Dave Grohl? I can only Chris. Okay, I'm like, I can only see him as Dave Grohl. Yeah, Chris came over and was explaining it to me and Allie, and I'm really bad at word games because I just can't on the fly think of a word game. And he was assuring me that like it was going to be great, but I think you guys were just finishing up as I had showed up. So yeah, it's that one I'm interested in.
It was a lovely party game.
Yeah.
And it's not getting, BGG I kind of have to ignore for party games because usually they're kind of on the side of, well, this was dumb and it's not for you.
Yeah.
I personally very, very much enjoyed it. I thought that it was a lot of fun. It's not going to be for everybody. It's not going to be for people who, can't really think on the fly that quick.
Yeah.
So if you're that kind of person that kind of seizes up and tenses up and can't think of something, it's probably not going to be, that great a game for you. You'll probably have fun, but it's going to be one of those games that maybe you don't excel at. Because I even found myself tensing up at times and being like, I don't know. I have no idea.
It's fun though with like medium because I think it's as long as you're not the kind of person that needs to win, I find it very funny when you get paired up with me because then I'm the person coming up with the wildest word and then having to pair up what probably was the right answer if there is one with my funky word. It makes for fun table talk and just laughter, which I find fun. I am the person that is just enjoying it.
But it's even more exciting when you do sync up with somebody.
Yeah.
And then you get that moment of just like, I can't believe that they synced up with me
and
they figured this out. So the rest of the games I purchased, I bought a little game called Evian, and this was the Fox in the Forest, kind of set for it. It is kind of one of those collectible games. It was towards the back of the convention, and I did want to pick this up because Jamie highly recommended it. Apparently, she's played it before. She knows the designer. And there's little minis. It's kind of combat on a map kind of vibes, heads up style, which usually isn't my jam. But it did sound interesting enough to give a try. It was cheap enough. I think it was like $25 to pick up. So I figured pick up a set and see what I think of it. And if I don't like it, I'll pass it off to somebody else who might enjoy it a little bit better. And then Santa's Workshop. I had heard about this game from my friends Matt and Paulina. They had played the first edition a while back at the Malted Meeple, rest in peace. But they said that they really enjoyed it. It's a really good holiday game. I'm hoping to play it this Saturday. Well, when you listen to this, I hope that I played it on Saturday, because we're recording this the week before. But it should be a good game. It looks so cute.
I want to hear about that one because I do enjoy having my themed, like my Halloween games that I'm only going to bring out in the month of October. I have very limited, I've got like winter themed ones, but those winter in Minneapolis is 6 months. So like I need Christmas themed ones. So I really enjoy the look of that one. I'm excited to hear what you say.
Yeah, I'm excited to play that one because I think it's like a half an hour, just kind of real light worker placement type deal.
Yeah.
So excited for that. And then two games that are not light are Doubt is Our Product and Nicaea. They're both Amabel Holland games, and I posted online that I am in for either an absolute treat or a headache. And Amabel said, well, I hope it's the first one.
Yeah.
But Doubt is Our Product. I opened up the box today, and the reference material that Amabel put in there, I'm going to tell this story probably when I do the review of it, because I will undoubtedly do a review. I read through the rules and I read through the reference material, and it's very obvious that she has a very personal connection to the subject matter. And some of the material that she put in, I think is very important for people to see, very important for people to hear that story that she is so very, very personally connected with. And I feel like the game's going to be good. But if for nothing else, I'm glad that I got to hear that story. I was almost tearing up, listening to it, or reading it. And then Nicaea is just fun, poking the bear kind of thing, which a lot of people apparently hated, and hate won it on BGG, but as it do.
Yeah. I think this is the one that you talked about maybe during our slumber party. I can't remember, but I think you did describe it to me, and I was like, heck yeah, I'm in.
Mm-hmm. It sounds so good. And Alyssa Gambone basically told me that when she played it, she had a blast with it. So
love that.
I'm so looking forward to it. I just have to get the group together to play it. Maybe in February.
Ooh.
Maybe in February.
Learn it for me, and then I won't have to worry about learning.
Exactly. Then I can teach you.
Yeah, teach it.
Perfect. So that is all my incoming. As far as outgoing and stuff that I played, like I mentioned, I played Nova Roma, 20 Strong, Everything Ever, Cafe Barras, Cheese Factory, Tiger and Dragon. The two that I did not play that I didn't mention yet are Under Falling Skies. That is a solo-only dice placement game, which I would like to do a review of. And I may take with me on a ship. I'm not sure. The footprint's kind of tall. How you set up the game board, it does take up a little bit of real estate. But the game box itself isn't too huge. I mean, it's not a massive, square box kind of thing. So I would like to talk about that at some point.
That one looked really good. Another one that I got, another one that reminds me of it is So You've Been Eaten, which is it's another like solo, and that one, their whole shtick too was you could play it at 0, like it can play 0 to 2, because you could pit bot versus bot on it, which is just a silly little gimmick that I love about them. But that one, it reminded me of that, where you're kind of moving up this track as you progress solo games. I'm trying to switch gears more into solo game, because it's very clear, like, I can get to the table if it's solo. I'll be good.
Yep. And that is one thing that is a consideration for me is, does it have a solo mode? If it doesn't have a solo mode, that's fine, but can I get it to the table?
Yep.
And not everything needs a solo mode.
Yes. Oh my God. Can we bold that and underline it and italicize it? It does. You are not required to put solo rules in your game, because it's not always great.
No, and in fact, I don't know if I have told this story or not before. I feel like I have, but this is an aside, and I'm gonna make it now. There was a game that I played, early in when I was doing like written reviews, and I played it solo, and I wasn't thrilled with it. Like I thought that the solo mode was pretty bad on it, and I mentioned that I really did need to play it at multiplayer to just confirm, what I thought of it. And the designer reached out to me in private and basically said, "You're not wrong, but I did have to put this solo mode into the game because the publisher in question wanted it in there and desperately wanted it in there, and it needed to be in there. And I love the game at multiplayer, but I almost ditched it without playing it. And I think that's where it can be super detrimental."
Yeah, 100%. I feel like I have, and I understand that, like, we went through that time period, especially at the beginning of the pandemic, when it was like, it's going to sell better because people are at home and everything. But yeah, I just, it's not always necessary, and also could kind of put a stain on the game if that's someone's like first entry into it, and then they just say, you know what, I can't do this at solo. I don't have anybody else to play with, which is unfortunate, but
it is. It definitely is. But why put a stain on your game when, you know, you could just say, this isn't going to be a good solo game, and therefore we're going to skip it. Mm-hmm. And I really respect companies that do that.
Yes.
Because don't put something in the box if it's not going to be good.
Yeah.
You know, sneak it, if worse comes to worse, and I will get off this topic, but if worse comes to worse, have somebody release it on BGG as a fan variant solo mode.
Yep.
Here you go. You can play it solo.
Yeah.
You know, we're just fans putting out content.
Yeah.
For, you know, our favorite games. But yeah, I'm gonna get off my soapbox with that because not everything needs to be solo.
No.
Speaking of solo, I did get to play Forever Home solo though, which was quite an enjoyable
that one
experience.
Looks so cute. That one's the dog game. Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, and thematically, I'm trying to get the tie-in, you know, in how the mechanics work with the theme. However, it's cute. It's a fun puzzle. I enjoyed the puzzle of it. I enjoyed the theme of it. I just think that there might be a little bit of a disconnect between the theme and the mechanics. So looking forward to playing that one multiplayer as well. And then 3 games that I expunged before I played them. Lost Legends was one of those games. You know, just it was a drafting game. I've got enough drafting games to, you know, last me a lifetime, and it seemed like, you know, people had kind of mid opinions on it. And it was something that I had a tough time getting to the table with everybody. So I figured, why keep it around? Unicornus Nights was one that I bought, you know, basically because of the theme. It was kind of a anime, medieval knights kind of thing, where you're playing this cooperative game. But it never seemed like the theme really fit the mechanics again. You know, it just seemed like you were kind of on a quest to do stuff, and, you know, you were moving your anime knight around on the board and trying to accomplish things with a pretty complicated rule set that when I tried to dive into it, I wasn't grokking it at all. So decided to let that one go. And then finally, Deep Dive was one that I decided to let go as well. Unfortunately, because of the color vision issues on it, I did not. I just couldn't get it to the table. There were Rolling with Two did a fantastic video on Deep Dive and kind of highlighted some of those issues and talked about some of the modifications that could be done. But when I asked, you know, is this something that really needs those modifications? Am I going to get value out of it if I do it? Because chances are once I do that, I'm not going to sell it off.
Yeah.
You know, they said, you know, you've got enough Press Your Luck games that this really isn't going to do anything new for you. So I let that one go as well.
Yeah. Yep.
And sometimes that's what you got to do. I was excited.
That one was
excited.
Was that Flat Out?
It was Flat Out, which is kind of surprising.
No.
It's kind of surprising from Flat Out.
Yeah. That always hurts.
Yeah. It just really hurts. And you have a visitor behind you that people can't see because it's a podcast.
Could you hear her scream? I was worried you could hear her scream.
No. She's just being a good baby.
Being a tiny little girl.
Yeah.
Hi.
So that is the Shelf of Shame wrap up. So, Olivia, thank you for sitting through all of that with me.
I enjoyed it.
Because that was a whole thing. We went on an odyssey before we're going to go on another odyssey.
It's going to be a time.
Yes. Yes, it is. It's going to be a fun time, though.
Yeah. Again, I'm really excited to see what our overlap is. And also, while I was making my list, I realized that there were a handful of these that I had played with you and had good experiences with you, which was very exciting.
Well, I'm looking forward to seeing where the overlaps are. I'm figuring at least one of them is going to be an overlap.
I believe that. I believe that.
I think there's going to be 2.
Same. Okay. I think there's going to be 2.
Okay.
I think there's going to be exactly 2. But I'm interested to find out where they land on each of our lists.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. And maybe we'll be surprised. I don't know.
Yep.
So what we didn't figure out is who is going to start with theirs.
I feel like you're the star of the show, so you should start.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. So my number 10 is Gosu 10.
Oh.
This is by Hachette and Sorry We Are French. The original design was by Kim Sato. The art is done by David Sitbon. This is kind of a heads-up 2-player game where players basically take 3 factions. Each faction is going to have a deck, and you're going to combine all those decks together. And they're all going to interact together in a certain way. So certain decks do certain things better, and their interaction is always going to be unique. So you have 8 decks. Each player is going to take 3 factions out of that, which leaves 2 remaining, which normally in a game you would set those aside and just say, we're not playing with those. Here, the remaining 2 factions, you flip the tile over that has like the faction description on it, like what it's good at and all that. It has a power that remains in effect all game.
Ooh.
So you get like 2 game-changing powers that come out from the ones that you did not choose, which makes this game incredibly interesting. It's very much a tableau builder. You kind of have to build from the bottom up. You're attacking your opponent's tableau. You're turning stuff over so that they can't build their army bigger. And ultimately, you're going to want to build your army up as much as possible so that you're the strongest and you are ultimately able to win rounds. I think you win. I think the first to three wins. Or 3 rounds wins, or it might be 2 rounds. I can't remember quite how many it is. I really like the combos on this. The things that you can do by playing 1 card. You get to draw cards. You get to play another card. You get to do all those fun actions. And the art is very unique as well. It's very different. It's a different style than I'm used to. It's a very unique game. I don't feel like it got enough love. But it was definitely a game that kind of subverted my expectations because I'm not usually somebody that enjoys that kind of heads up 1v1 style play.
I haven't heard of that one, and now I mean, like, as far as like, what gets enough attention, I don't know. I'm on multiple channels of different like Discords, following different YouTube channels, TikTok, Instagram, Twitter, X, whatever it is.
It's Twitter.
It's Twitter. Thank you. No, it's a thing of like, it always surprises me when something doesn't get past me, and I'm like, how did I miss that? And Hachette puts out a bunch of bangers too. Like it's fantastic. I'm gonna have to look into that one.
Yeah, and I had a couple from them that were close.
Yeah.
They were on my short list, and my short list was 41 games this year, because I played a lot of really good stuff this year. So, Yeah, a couple were close, but didn't quite make it. And you're right. I mean, Hachette put a lot of very, very good, solid product out this year.
Yeah. Well, my number 10, I decided to, instead of just giving a shout out, I wanted to keep it on my list. It's a miniatures game called Demon Ship. This one was designed by Malev, published through Black Site Studios, who's doing amazing, amazing, amazing things. But this one's a solo micro tabletop miniatures game that is minis agnostic and uses D6s for it. So there's really not a lot. Like if you've already got miniatures, you can use them. It's technically set on like a spaceship. I believe they're caught in like an interdimensional portal of some kind, where you're acting as the person fighting the aliens and everything. And you're mostly just rolling D6s as things come out throughout the game, trying to fight off aliens and get back through the portal. It's so good. It's so good. It's so fun. I really love the idea of miniatures games that are asking you to use miniatures that you already have on hand, or like items that you already have on hand, and are not saying you need to buy this $100 box and this $60 box. Mm-hmm. So yeah, it had to stay on my list. I had to shout it out. I absolutely love it. And I'm looking forward to what they continue to put out, because now that they're on my radar, I can't stop buying their things.
Yeah, I had heard of that one. I haven't had a chance to really look too deep into it, but it seems like that might be the one game that kind of, gets me into minis and kind of, taking a look at some of those tabletop miniature games.
Yeah, and you can buy, like, they have miniatures for it if you want, as well as the, like, MDF board setup. Or you can just download, like, the resin files or whatever if you've got, like, a printer. So, yeah, that one's cool. my number 10.
I love that. My number 9 is a game called Inside Job. This is by Cosmos.
No, I forgot about that one. It's so good.
It's so good. This was by Tanner Simmons and art by Marek Blaha. This is a trick taker with hidden roles. So you kind of think the crew, but with a traitor. That's how Court kind of sold it to me, and I was all in. Like I needed a copy of that so bad. You're basically trying to complete missions, but the person that completes the mission, or actually takes a trick rather, gets a briefcase. And if you get a certain amount of briefcases and you're the traitor, you win. So you're kind of trying to spread the briefcases out a little bit. If you're the traitor, you're trying to get briefcases, but be subtle about it. High tension the entire game. Accusations flying like nobody's business. So many stand-up moments at the table. We played this at Origins a few times, and I love it every time it comes to the table.
This is the trick-taking game that got me to understand finally what trick-taking is, because Lord help me, I did not. It was so confusing. And like, if you don't ask me to define it, I don't know how to, but like, I understand it. I understand.
Yes. Yes. You get it now.
That one was so good. That's not on my list. It's not on my list. Completely forgot about that one. And that was so much fun. I forced a friend to buy it up here, and we have yet to bring it to the table. And I don't know why, because I'm always like, oh, it's a good game? Inside Job. We could play Inside Job.
I'm surprised that this was one that I thought was going to be a crossover for us.
Okay, I'm so excited to see I'm glad we got it out at the beginning here, and now I'm just going to like wait and see.
I know.
Yeah. Okay, so mine my number 9 was, this one was a surprise to me, Deal with the Devil. That one was designed, and I'm so sorry, designed by Matus Kotri, and I could be saying the name wrong, so I apologize. But that was published by CGE. This is a game in which it is exactly 4 players, no more, no less. And it's hidden role meets income. Like, I don't know how to describe it. It's not necessarily worker placement, but you are putting workers out there to do certain things while also managing your economy and getting into debt. Essentially trying to, if you're the devil, get a full soul, which is 3 pieces of a soul. And if you have a soul, you are trying to sell your soul for some delicious things, for more money, more resources. It makes for a really good game. And maybe it's the fact that I grew up Catholic, but I think it's so funny. They have like little cardboard mobs that aren't there for any reason, but like if you've been caught as the devil or been caught without a soul, you can put the little mobs outside your little player window. It's hilarious. And I've played as the devil 2 times now, and really trying to pick up like its nuances and everything. It's a delight. I really enjoyed playing it.
It is a solid game. I do think a lot of people don't necessarily like it because it is that exact 4-player count.
Yep.
And it's hard to get to the table, but when you do, it's so satisfying.
Yeah, and that's another thing of like, I'm really glad that they didn't push it to try and fit a player count that would have been more desirable to people. Instead, they rang true and said, no, this is exactly a 4-player game. And it went like, absolutely, you could not play that at any other player count. It needs to be that. Yeah.
No, and like you said, good on them for sticking to that, because they very easily could have said, well, here's a 2-player variant that you can play.
Yeah.
Or here's a 3-player variant that you can play. You need 4.
It's, play Deal with the Devil, everybody. It's great.
Yes, it is. My number 8 is Distilled. This is by Paverson Games. Designed by Dave Beck. The art is by Eric Evenson. This game, I did do a review as well as do an interview with Dave Beck earlier this year. Wonderful diversity in this game, and I think this is a shining example of a game that does diversity right. All the characters are diverse, but it's not just, tacked on. It's not there for diversity's sake. It is literally there because, he wanted them in there. It's integrated. It's just natural, and it just feels so good. The mechanisms are integrated well into the theme. So whether you're taking, the top and the bottom cards off of your deck after you shuffle them, because that's what you do in real life when you distill a beverage, is you take the head and the tail off. That, aging and getting those kind of notes in, which you don't know what's going to wind up seeping into your barrel aged alcohol. But when you flip everything over, you find out. Just a joy. Really big joy to play. Excellent solo as well. Really quick solo turns that it's easy to manage, and you can get back to the puzzle in front of you. Really like this one. My number 8 was Distilled.
My number 8 is another trick-taking game. My first trick-taking game on here, Tournament at Avalon. It's one that I played a lot because it can play up to higher player counts with, I think it's a Tournament at Camelot or something. Camelot. Yeah. Yep. So this one was designed by Karen Boginski, Judy Boginski, and then Kenneth C. Shannon III, published by WizKids, which surprised me because this was a friend's copy, and I didn't realize it was with WizKids, and I didn't realize it was like 2020 that it was released. but it's trick taking with so many shenanigans. Like it's trick taking with constant rule changes. Everybody's got a different ability in which they can change results in the trick taking. The worse that you do, the more cards will come out that can help you at the beginning of each round. So it ends up, it's not a game in which you know that you're winning and you know you will win at the end. It's the kind of game that, like, it just goes to somebody at the end. Purely, again, based on shenanigans, which I really enjoy, because sometimes my group can be I have to win, I have to min-max this, and I really like throwing some chaos in my group, and I really enjoy watching everybody kind of suffer. I want to watch them suffer a little bit, because it is fun and it's a game, and I want to laugh about my game. That one I had checked on BG stats. That one was my most played game of the year.
Wow.
It's so, we end up with a pretty big group, which is why we end up playing it. And also it's so fast. Sometimes you can get a game out very, very quickly, under 60 minutes, with a big group, which makes it very fun. And also you can play it a little bit tipsy. So my gaming group, again, plays hot and heavy. So
I will say that Tournament at Camelot was the game that got me into trick-taking games.
Yeah, it's so fun. And then, like, again, so you taught me Inside Job, and I had played Tournament at Avalon before, which is what threw me off. I was like, I don't know what trick-taking is. But after we played Inside Job, I was like, I get it now. I'm going to go back to Tournament at Avalon, and I am going to crush everybody.
Yes. I absolutely love that. So that was a great pick. My number 7's going to be a little controversial because it's not the biggest game. It's not the, heaviest. It's not the, the most, like, anticipated game of the year on everybody's list. But it is a game that I've talked a lot about. It is a game that I've played a lot. And it is a game that's easy to get to the table, and that is Diced Veggies.
Yep. Mm-hmm.
My number 7.
Yep.
This is a KTBG publication designed by Josh Capel, Jory Capel, and Rowan Capel. Art by Claire Lynn. Like I said, this is easy to get out with anyone. A very tight decision space, with your cards. Trying to figure out, what do you keep, what do you dump, what are you drafting, what can you turn over quickly, how do you want to play it, just a lot of really good decisions and not a lot of room to really move around, which I love. The physical mechanism of cutting the dice with a knife is just genius.
Yeah.
And the variety of foods was so clever too. Seeing foods I had eaten when I traveled to South America, they were on there. Just overall, I have not had this one miss at the table. Yeah. And that's why I felt that it belongs here, because it has just consistently been a great game that continues to get out, that continues to get love, continues to get played. And, that's it. Deserves the spot. My number 7 was Diced Veggies.
I'm not going to say too much more because, yes, that one's on my list. So I'll switch over to my next one, number 7, which was John Company, the second edition. This one was designed by Cole Whirley.
I think it's Whirley, but
it's Whirley. I know. I said it and then immediately was like, I don't know words. Again, this is why I'm really bad at words. But yeah, published by Whirligig Games. It is like to immediately get into it. So it's a game about state-sponsored trade monopoly, where you are assuming the roles of ambitious families attempting to use the British East India Company. So it brings up a lot of I don't know. For me, there's a lot to talk about once you actually like begin the game of who am I playing as, because you are playing as essentially colonizers. And you're collectively trying to guide the company instead of like necessarily controlling your own firms. So there's a bit of cooperation that needs to happen. It really wrestles with that idea and like theme of imperialization and globalization in the 18th, 19th centuries, and like how that affected both the people of the lands as well as how it affected, I don't know, the company. What I think is great and I love from them, they even tell you to kind of get consent from those playing the game with you, which I find to be very important. They very much acknowledge the theme, which Whirligig Games is just fantastic about that. Cole is fantastic about that. Like, we are recognizing that like these are games that people do enjoy playing, but also recognizing that the context and everything of the game gets very, very heavy. And there's a reason that many of us haven't played them or don't want to play them for good reason. For me, I really enjoy those kind of historical games. I really enjoy specifically Whirligig Games and how they're going about these titles, because they've got a new one coming out that I bought sight unseen, which is Molly House. I'm tickled for that one. It didn't make my list only because, one, it's not out yet, and two, I have neither played it nor do I fully know exactly the mechanics in it. I bought it based on its Whirligig Games. The theme is exactly to a T what I want out of my game. And the designer was just the sweetest human being.
That lunch with Joe was so incredible.
They were so kind. I still talk about it. Yeah.
They were an absolute delight to have lunch with. They really were.
It really grounded me after the convention, like after just feeling anxiety and everything, having that lunch at PAX with them. I walked away feeling very full and just happy. Yeah. And seeing somebody that was very deserving of the success that they've been able to garner from that game. And I will say that if I had played the full game, it would be in my consideration for the top games of this year from what I played of it. It is so well done. It is so well themed and well integrated. And I have talked about that on the podcast before, when I did the interview with them. But they're doing such a wonderful job over there, and I am so looking forward to that coming in, because I'm very excited for people to see how incredible this game is, and then not only that, but learn about that time period and experience what that time period was like. Yeah, I'm truly really excited that Whirligig picked that one up, because that'll be their first that Cole wasn't like officially part of, or like, was the first to design. I believe he got on for tweaks and everything, but other than that, that was all Joe. I'm just excited. And I needed to get this one on because also I think I'm 3 for 3 in that game with my group, and the guys hate me. And I'm personally loving it.
Good. They should.
Yeah, thank you.
My number 6 is a heavier game, and that is called Nemo's War. That is by Victory Point Games. And again, these are games that are new to me this year. It's not necessarily that they came out, but they are new to me. I did get to play this. My time period for when I evaluate games is December 1st to December 1st. So I make that cutoff, at December 1st, because obviously if I have to do a show in December, I can't have stuff that I haven't played yet
Yeah.
on there. So I have to make that cutoff somewhere. But this was one that I actually wound up, I believe I played either New Year's Eve or New Year's Day. Designed by Chris Taylor, art by Ian O'Toole. It's an incredible solo puzzle. It is helped, again, Ian O'Toole has a way of designing a board that just, it flows. You know where everything goes. You know kind of where you're looking. Your eye is drawn to certain spots where it should be, when it should be. And that I really, really love. It was a lot easier for me to figure out than I thought, but a lot of weighty decisions and a lot of, very interesting decisions. A lot of very high tension pressure luck as well, especially towards the end of that game where, you're trying to get things done as much as possible and you're risking it for the brisket. And sometimes it turns out and sometimes it winds up going horribly wrong. But yeah, that was my number 6 was Nemo's War.
That's Ian O'Toole is one that, like, if his name is on something, I will most likely buy it. If anything, I will look at it. I will play it. I will make that attempt because I know the way that he designs, does the graphic design, I will be able to understand it as the player stepping into it more easily than I will a lot of other games that I play. So
exactly.
I want that one.
I love it.
So my number 6, I couldn't tell if it counted or not, but I had to, was Blood on the Clock Tower, which was designed by Stephen Medway, published by the Pandemonium Institute. This one we waited so long to actually release. Years it felt like. But it's a bluffing game, similar to your Werewolf, which is for 5 to 20 players. But this one's so special and so unique, and I love a good hidden role game, or any kind of game that I can be a trader in. I don't know what that says about me. Don't think about it too hard. But you're overseen by a storyteller. So if you've got a friend who doesn't enjoy participating, they can essentially GM the game, and that role needs to be taken pretty seriously because some of those games can get away with you, and the storyteller is there to keep pace and also kind of ride the line of making sure it's not tipping over to one side, like, the good side versus the bad side too much. You want to have that tension. Games with good tension like that I don't get often, and I've had blessing this year of being able to play with a few different storytellers who genuinely at the end of it, I was so thankful to have gotten to play it. One lovely game with you, Arwen, at Origins in which you were the trader, and I was so sure you were on our side for the majority of that game. And then at the end, I realized, oh no, you've been lying to me this whole time. And you're not kicked out. Yeah, the entire time. And you looked so innocent. Like, I thought that I could figure it out. I thought I knew, like, I'll know how she's lying. I'll see it in her face. No way she could lie to me. And nope, here we are. You're a genius. It was beautiful. But yeah, you're not kicked out completely of the game if you die. I love that. Like, you still participate. Yes. Yeah, that one's hands down become my favorite kind of bluffing hidden role game. So that was my number 6.
Surprisingly, not on my list.
Yeah, no, I figured that one. I kind of figured no, but I had to shout it out.
That was my number 11 because it was so close from that one game.
Yes, from the one game. Yes.
Which tells you how good of a game it is. But I do agree that you need that good storyteller. Yeah. And if you have somebody that's either not as familiar with the game or, maybe doesn't quite grasp that role well enough,
yes,
you're not going to have as good of a game.
Yep.
So it's highly dependent on who's GMing it, and I will say, yeah, the fact that we had Carly as our GM that game, it was
I walked into that blind.
Amazing.
I found out afterwards that she was this like well-loved GM for Blood on the Clock Tower. And afterwards I was like, oh, I should have thanked her more. It was also like 2 a.m., but you know, it's fine.
We were all so tired.
Yeah.
But it was well worth it.
Yeah, totally worth it. Yeah.
My number 5 is a economic game called Dawn of Ulos.
Yes.
This is by Thunderworks Games, designed by Jason Lentz. The art is by Diego Sa. This is exactly what I wanted Acquire to be when I played Acquire. Acquire's dry. You're putting corporations together as tiles on a grid, and it's fun. Like I have a great time when I play Acquire. It's not this. This just brings an extra dimension to it. The fact that you can, as players, influence the battle and bluff, separately, really puts it over the edge. The theme is in that kind of role player type universe. Of Ulos, and just it's fantasy. If you're into fantasy, it's going to be a good theme for you. If not, it's okay. This was not what I was expecting it to be, but I was surprised in a very, very, very good way. And it wasn't bad to get to the table. People picked it up pretty quickly. I think the biggest hurdle was that they thought that they were controlling one of the specific races when you're just buying stock in, each of them, and you're doing stuff for everything. So you have to control the whole board, which means that you're gonna play a couple of different parts in it, and being able to kind of sneak up on something that you really had no interest in, and you're playing up as, I don't have any interest in this. I don't care about this race, whatever. I'm all in on this. And then slowly stockpiling it. And then people start realizing, oh no. And it's incredible. Great game. I really, really enjoyed it. I'm looking forward to playing some more of that. And that is Dawn of Ulos.
I think we talked about that the last time we recorded, because I knew I really want to play that. We'll play that in February. That's what we'll do.
I love it.
My number 5 was Freelancers, a Crossroads game. So this one was designed by Donald Schultz and then published by Plaid Hat Games, which knocked it out of the park again. So if you haven't played, they had a Pirates version, a similar like Crossroads game, but essentially you're playing like a condensed version of an RPG campaign game, but like in one night you're creating a character that like they've got sheets pre-written out for you. You just add like names and a couple of adjectives. You're rolling really cute dice, and then you're making your way through like multiple different stories that has like magic, monsters, things like that. And there's no game master required, and there's an app, and I freaking love the app. The app is so good and makes that game. The voiceovers done on it really makes you feel immersed as if you were in an RPG type game. Really all that happens is you go to a location, you decide on an action, and then the app maybe presents you with the question, or just like gives you some loot, or tells you that you we're up against a beast. It makes it super easy to play with a big group, and you're not like wrangling a bunch of people to kind of figure out your own stats and everything. But the app especially sings with that game. I loved it. Shout out at Gen Con, I was unable to walk over to the booth and buy it. And Olympian Thomas had just gave it to me, and I was like, oh my God, thank you. This is the only thing I wanted out of my trip to Gen Con. A huge thank you, because that game ended up, number 5 on my list, because it was just so wonderful.
Oh, I love that. That's one thing. I haven't played many of those Crossroads games except for Dead of Winter, and I love Dead of Winter.
Yeah. And that one you are much more involved. This one is very hands-off. You're making a couple of decisions, but the story is deep enough that like you want to keep going.
Yeah. I'm going to have to check that out because I've heard from multiple people at this point that it's a pretty good experience.
Yeah. Yep.
Well, my number 4 is a legacy game, and it is Sagrada Artisans by Floodgate Games. The design is by Adrian Adamescu and Daryl Andrews. The art is by Peter Walken. And I'm a little bit partial to it because this is a game that finally gets Sagrada to my table because it is color vision friendly. The original game is not. It is not color vision friendly.
Yeah.
And I had some major issues, and it's so upsetting. I do play the app sometimes, which is a lot of fun.
Does the app, is it better? Is it color vision friendly? Okay. Yeah. I did. Yeah, of course. Yeah.
Because the app, they started putting patterns on.
They did.
So that was very nice to see.
Yeah.
That helped me out considerably. But just the original game, unfortunately, the dice weren't doing it for me. This is also like kind of an added bonus of it being a legacy game. There are some massive shifts in this game that make it incredibly different each time that you play it. I don't want to spoil things, but the boards at the very least are different each time you play. You're going to have some different conditions that you're dealing with. But there are some pretty large surprises to be discovered when you do certain things in the game. So, and then the gorgeous boards after the game is done. The version that I backed has a lovely little pencil sharpener that's in the shape of one of the stained glass windows too. And, just kind of filling everything in with the colored pencils. We're in probably a third of the way into the campaign, and then I do have another reset pack as well. So I'm going to be enjoying that one for a while to come. But my number 4 was Sagrada Artisans.
This is one that I've been waiting to hear about because I have not heard enough to make the purchase. But now that you mention it, Arwen, there is a big box wrapped up underneath my Christmas tree that I have been trying to figure out what it could possibly be. And now I'm wondering, is it that? Did my partner get that? I don't know. I'll check back in with you, but I want to play this. I deeply want to play this. You
are in for a treat if it is.
Okay.
Because it's wonderful. Especially heads up, it's really good.
Okay.
Even at a full player count, I think it's going to be good. No matter how you play it, you're going to enjoy it.
Are you playing it 2 players or just you and Allie?
So I am playing it 2 players, but I'm playing it with my friend Jordan.
Oh, okay. Perfect. Because that's what we would be doing. Okay. If it's not under my tree, I'm going to go shake it when we're done. Just, I'm going to tell you about that.
I don't know what kind of sound it would make.
I don't know either.
So I don't know whether to confirm or deny.
But I'm going to do it.
I'm excited.
Thank you. I'm excited for me too. If not, I'm buying it. Okay. My number 4 is the Castles of Burgundy Special Edition. So everybody said you would love this game. Designed by Stefan Feld, this one was published by Awaken Realms. And everybody was like, you love worker placement, go play Castles of Burgundy. And it was not. I'm evil. I'm very mean, and it has to be pretty. If it's not pretty, I rarely want to bring it to the table. I know I'm very bad about it. I need it to be pretty enough. It doesn't have to be fancy and special and acrylic and all of that. It doesn't need to have miniatures. I just need it to be a little bit pretty to look at. And so I didn't back this because I'd never played it because everybody said I'd like it, but I didn't back it. And then a friend got his copy, and immediately I went, oh no, I've made a huge mistake. I have screwed this up. So I'm sure a lot of people already know, but you're dice rolling. It's kind of set collection, tile placement. You have got, I don't even want to know if I could call it engine building, but you are kind of building up on each tile that you place, and you're only placing like 2, possibly around, maybe 3. But it's so meaty and delicious, and I love it. And this copy is so pretty. It's so pretty, and I love it. It's a huge box, and I shouldn't have done it, but I love it so much.
It's the kind of game, first of all, it's the kind of game that needed that treatment, because the original version of it was just so bland and dry and like, ugh. I haven't gotten my special edition to the table. I have the acrylic tiles and everything.
We're doing it. I'll play that game any and every day. We played, oh my God, that's right. We played on BGA, and it was in between when I had last played it, and we played it on BGA, and immediately I was like, shit, I don't remember what you do in this game. And you absolutely crushed me. But we should play again. And also we should play with your fancy edition soon.
I would love to do that, because I am such a huge fan of this game. Yeah. I'm glad that you enjoy it, because it's the kind of game that I've kind of gotten away from that deluxification.
Yep.
I'm real hesitant to that now.
Yep.
This deserves it. This is one of those games that, because I will pick it up and play it anytime, I think you feel the same way about it. It needs that deluxe version, because you want to enjoy it that much more every single time you play.
Yeah. It was one, I feel like it's like when you meet a very special human being, whether it be relational or friendship, it's one that's like, oh my God, I've been waiting for you all my life. And I felt that so much about that. I was like, why have I've wasted all this time not playing you? And now all I want to do is play you. Anyways, it's my number 4, Castles of Burgundy.
It's so good. That is a fantastic pick.
So good. Thank you.
Love it. Love it. My number 3 is a game that, when I did my review, I said it was going to be a Game of the Year candidate, and it wound up at number 3. So it was a candidate, but it didn't quite make it. This is by Thunder Griff Games, designed by Simone Luciani and Nestor Manjon. The art is by Paolo Voto, and that is Darwin's Journey. This was a very, very interesting game. The worker progression system is so cool, where you put little seals on your workers, and that enables them to do certain things. So you have to train your workers up to do, what you want them to do. They all start with a ability, but the more seals that they get from it, the better they are at it, and the more options that you have if you diversify with them. Also, you get bonuses where you can, basically make workers, like specific workers, that once you fill in the seals that match that pattern, you get like a major bonus, which a free action in this game is super critical. It can really set off a lot of really good combos. This is a game that is dependent on combos. If you're just doing one or two things, you're not going to get where you need to go. And the first couple of turns, you're going to feel like it's going to go slow. But once you get into those later rounds, you are going to be doing so much and just pinging from one side of the board to the other.
I love that. I live for that. I need more of that.
Yes. And that's the exact same way that I feel about it, because you just love that satisfying, yes, if I do this, and I get this, and I get this, and I get this. Kept me coming back for more plays. The seals and the actions that you get to take with them, with your workers, the linkage is highly thematic. It works. It makes sense. The art is stunning. The player board is magnificent. The wax seals, the upgraded ones, I'm kind of mixed on. They're gorgeous. They're fun to play around with, but they're kind of squishy and they do stick together. So there's kind of a trade-off there. So that's something that, unfortunately I, had to deal with. But yeah, it's a very, very interesting game. Looking forward to playing more of it, and hope I can get it to the table more. That is my number 3, Darwin's Journey.
Okay, my number 3, because I needed to have something of his on here, was Hallertau, which was designed, of course, by Uwe Rosenberg, and then published by Lookout Games. Hallertau is another big box beefy game of his that also is just so reminiscent of his other games that like you can pick up pretty easily, but the depth of it requires a couple of plays. So it's, again, similar to the other ones, worker placement, hand management, but you're managing resources in your fields that you're planting, and then that goes to helping you progress your craft buildings, which has got like a very interesting player board where these little craft buildings have windows in them and they end up covering things up but highlighting certain points. So you're trying to progress those along while still gaining points in other ways. I really find the theme very interesting too. It's set in Germany, which is it was Bavaria, if I remember correctly, and it's a big hop producing region in the world, and cultivates lots of hops. So you're kind of cultivating the hops and also a couple of other resources. Your typical wheats, and you've got your bricks and everything. Mm-hmm. I love it, but I love every single Uwe game that almost every single Uwe game that has ever been presented to me, I will play and probably fall in love with. And this one, same thing, was just really delight to get to the table. It's a lot more card heavy in the game as well, which I really liked because I haven't really managed a lot of his games that are card heavy like Agricola is. This one even more so, which I really enjoyed because it felt a little bit more balanced. Because I know Agricola sometimes we're pulling cards out that don't fit. But yeah, it's Uwe Rosenberg. I can't not. I was just going to the store the other day and looking at Applejack, which was another one of his. I didn't play it this year, so I can't put it on my list, but it's so precious and cute. Another one of his puzzly games. That's the thing, he's got 2 different styles. He's got the puzzle, this is our puzzle game, and the heavy worker placement, big box that will literally kill a guy if you want. I'm just acquiring his games for self-defense.
Yeah, exactly.
My number 3.
And you need no other excuse than that.
Thank you. Yeah. I keep saying, like, if the world ends, I will at least be able to make a house out of all of the board games that I have. So, like, I'm good. I'm fine.
Like, Feast for Odin could easily serve as the base of a house.
Ooh, it's so heavy. It's so thick.
A meaty
I love
boy.
That game. That's a meaty boy.
Yes. I love that game. Hallertau is one that I remember seeing in the store but never picking up, so I'd be interested to at least try it out.
I avoided it too because I think I had seen the little craft buildings and I was like, I don't know what that's about. Maybe it'll be gimmicky or maybe it'll be something else. It ended up being an absolute joy to play, and it's not as heavy as a Feast for Odin. A Feast for Odin I think is top notch in that. But still, your Caverna, your Agricola for sure.
Yeah, absolutely. I do like a good Rosenberg, so it'd be fun to play that at some point. My number 2 is a game called Votes for Women.
Yes.
This was by Fort Circle, designed by Tori Brown. The art was Bridget Indelicato and Mark Rodrigue. This is a very high-tension tug-of-war. When you think you're doing like really good and you got it in the bag, the opposition just winds up going and dumping a bunch of stuff in your lap, and it's awful. And you have to dig out, but it's a fun dig, and it really does feel like a live action kind of high scale map of the suffragette movement, that's playing out in front of you. The cards are extremely well done, with facts about each character or item that you're playing, what the history is, why they're notable, that kind of thing, including, just the jerk senators and some of the comments that they made at the time, was really kind of enlightening, and I'll leave that for you to discover on your own, as a certain hero in our community says. But I think I mentioned a couple of those when I did my review of the game. There's a reason I chose it as my last game before surgery. I have zero regrets that I have, other than I haven't played it enough. It's a fantastic game. I still see people getting it out at conventions and really kind of introducing people to it, and I think that that's amazing. Tori's a fantastic person as well. I've had the chance to meet with her and that a couple of times. I'm looking forward to having her on the show at some point. But this Votes for Women is just such a well done game. Not to mention the incredible amount of reference material that was also put in there for no other reason than to immerse people into that time period and see what people went through. And there's a lot of linkages to what people in the LGBTQ community are going through right now to this very day. There's a lot of parallels to it. So learn your history, understand it, and play a game. My number 2 Votes for Women.
That was one that I very much gravitated towards. Again, just like that historical games that we don't often see. Because I think she won Best War Game for the BGG Awards, whatever they're called. I can't remember offhand.
BGGs.
The BGGs. No, she won that, and I was so excited to see this fresh idea, because it's not like we were fighting physical battles, but that was a war of sorts. That was that like tension, that back and forth that you have with other players in the game. Genius, and Tori is an absolute delight. Like I'm really excited to see what she puts out next as well.
Same.
So good pick.
Thank you.
My number 2 is Diced Veggies. Yay. It's number 2. It's funny because I'm just getting lighter and lighter as I get to the top. So this one, we've already talked about it, but designed by children, by little tiny beings, which I'm so happy about, published by KTBG. We love them. Mm-hmm. This one you introduced me at, again, another good convention game, because you had gotten a media copy, and immediately I was like, I'm going to get this game to the table so often with people that don't often want to play games with me. I've got a lot of players that want to play kind of the puzzle games, and this one fits more into a game where you're pulling those dice and trying to acquire cards from the dice that you have. But more than that, you've got those the other cards that let you add additional things to it that you're hopefully trying to get but aren't necessary. I've played that with a couple folks now, and each one of them have went off and bought the game because it's perfectly priced. There's rules modification if you're playing with kiddos. It's just a genius game. am sad that I sat on KTBG this long, because I was thinking, like, I don't know what I was thinking. There's so much depth to their games. I think I walked away from Origins. I only had a carry-on, so I could only get so much, but I want to get their entire line at this point because it's beautiful and incredibly fun, and this was a joy to play.
I think the reason that I slept on them so long, and possibly one of the reasons that you did as well, was the fact of I saw kids in the title, I saw cute, and I'm like, okay, equating it to Haba almost.
Yeah.
Which there's nothing wrong with Haba games either.
Yeah.
Because I love me a good Karuba. Karuba's amazing.
Miyabi is also very, very good of Habas. But yeah, their whole line mostly, it is children-centric.
Yep. But, KTBG is just able to really kind of amp it up a little bit and, get those more adult-friendly mechanics in there that are going to give you a little bit more of a challenge as well.
They sneak it in there so perfectly. That is an art form because I feel like some people want to tout themselves as like, this is an easy, gateway game, play it with everybody, and it ends up being ridiculously hard. Or it's like a children's game that like, oh, we can play it with anybody, but KTBG does it like nobody else. So I'm really glad that you introduced me to them.
And speaking of which, I have my copy of Maple Valley sitting in the other room, just waiting to be played. So
Power Plants. Yes. I want to play Power Plants very badly too.
It's good.
Yeah,
it's good.
Yeah.
Well, it's time for our number ones. It's been a journey. It's been an odyssey.
Yeah.
My number one is also an obsession. And it is Obsession by Kayenta Games. The design is by Dan Halligan. The art is by Dan Halligan. I have played this so much between, BGA and physical copy that I want to get every single expansion for. It is so highly thematic, and that is something that really I tried to maybe focus on a little bit this year is having those thematic connections with the mechanics. Why am I doing this? Does it tie in? Is everything integrated? And having a story to kind of tell after every single game. I had, one of the guests that came in and, he has a little blurb about him and he's not really a good guy, but he can get you some money. Or you have, somebody that's going to cost you a little bit of money, but they're going to get you some reputation and maybe get a guest over. That building of your family, from kind of a struggling family to somebody who's, this noble, family that has all these amazing parties and these amazing venues and that. Like the core of that, the Victorian theme is like, it's not not the greatest from a
let's not go back to that time frame.
Let's not go back to that. But just kind of poking at that society and being able to relive that through, card game form and kind of have some cheeky humor, in with it as well, really sat well with me. I will always sit down to a game of this, balancing when and how to do everything and when to play who and who am I inviting to this party. I need to make sure that I get that right pairing and they're going to do what I need them to do. I'm loving it. I already pre-ordered the next expansion. I got the metal coins. Like, this is one of those games I need the deluxeified edition of it because I just absolutely love it. And that was my number one for the year, was Obsession.
I have to immediately tell you I'm so ashamed. I bought this game like 2 years ago based on theme alone, and I have not figured out how to play. It's probably one of the longer ones that's on my shelf of shame.
February.
You need to. Can you teach me?
Yeah, I can teach you.
Okay.
I can teach you.
Okay, thank you. Thank you, because I've been dying to play this one, and I know it'll hit well with the ladies in my group. Like, I know we will play this. But yeah, I went through a stage in the in the pandemic where I was just purchasing because I was let's be honest, I was so sad. There was nothing around it other than getting games that eventually I thought that I would play. And then we've stepped back into being able to meet up more and play games in person. And that one's just sitting on my shelf. You're gonna teach me. You're gonna have to.
It is and I will say that I've had multiple people that I've tried to introduce it to on BGA, and it doesn't quite it doesn't quite hit the same way as it does when it's on the table. Yep. You need that table presence. There's a couple of mechanics that once you see, okay, this tile is flipping over, this does this, you can kind of see everything in play and, in person, and how those different, pieces are interacting with each other. Then it's a lot easier to kind of say, oh, yeah, that's how that works.
Yeah, I think I had heard it on the podcast with Beyond Solitaire, and immediately was like, I need to get this game. Yes. And here I am. My number one, do you think you could guess my number one?
Well, I'm interested now because you've gotten lighter.
Uh-huh.
I don't know. I honestly don't know at this point.
My number one, because it's been a joy that I have brought to many, and many have brought to me, is Papagino.
Yes.
I had to. And shout out to Brooke at Leader Games. Oh my God. Thank you for putting this on me, for making me play this game, for bringing it out despite me being very tired at Origins. This game is just a lovely, lovely game. I guess it's similar to, is it Paper Safari or Pokemon Safari or something? I've also been told by friends who play card games that it's similar to golf. So this one was designed by Kevin Kim and published by Helvetic. It's just very simple set collection, essentially. Not really. I don't know how to describe it. You have a tableau of 6 cards face down in front of you with one flipped over. Throughout the game, you are either picking up a card that's in the discard or picking a random from the deck, and from there, placing it in your tableau. The thing is you're just trying to get the least amount of points possible. By doing so, you could match the top of a column to the bottom of a column because they're set up in a 3x2 grid. And it's genius. It's the cutest art I've ever seen. It's these little birds. I often force someone to tell me what their favorite bird is during the game. Because they're so freaking, clip art doesn't describe it very well. There's probably a very specific art form, but it's a very, sharp edges kind of bird. I love it. It fits in your purse. It fits in your bag. It fits in my little side satchel that I bring everywhere. It's a game that I have never once heard anyone say, that game's okay. Every single time I walk away from that game, somebody's buying it. Somebody is saying that they're putting it on their wish list. And it plays in like 5 minutes. It's so easy to just keep playing, best of 3 or whatever. I love it. I introduced it to you, Arwen.
Yes.
And you bought it. And I'm so happy that you bought it.
Well, Allie bought it because
I'm so happy that Allie bought it.
I was going to buy it for myself. And then Allie said, no, this is going to be a good Christmas present for you.
Yeah.
And I'm going to buy it, and it's going in your stocking, and then you can have it, when we celebrate Christmas. So, Yeah, it's such a delightful little game. Thank you to Brooke for introducing you to it so that I got introduced to it. Now we know how to trace this back. But it's such a delightful little game. Yeah, it's a good pick. And to be honest, with how much that's going to come out at the table, I think that says something too. Things don't necessarily need to be the heaviest and biggest box and most pimped out versions of everything. It just needs to be a good solid game that you're going to get to the table a lot.
I've brought that everywhere with me, all of the conventions, and the joy that I get at the table and that I then absorb into my body, truly priceless. Like I really just enjoy, and I get very anxiety over teaching games, because it can be very difficult for me I just lose the point very quickly. But this one, so easy. There's like 3 different unique cards that you've got to know. Other than that, everybody picks it up very easily, and I'm happy to bring some more happiness to everybody. So that was my number 1.
And color vision friendly as well.
And color vision friendly. Love it.
And the birds, as they go up in numbers, go and they have the little where they're sitting on the power lines, and the power lines dip a little bit more as the numbers get higher. And the negative one actually goes up.
And they're tiny, like they're just teeny tiny. Yeah, everybody's got to tell me their favorite bird. That's all that I really care about out of that game, is just tell me which one you think is the cutest.
Yeah, I think it was 1 for me.
Yeah, 1 was very, very cute. I really like the bird that looks like it's smoking, but it's not. It's just like part of its wing. Yes. That one's always hilarious to me.
Yes.
They're all so good. They're all good burps.
Yes. We love a good burp here. Well, that concludes our top 10 games of the year. Olivia, thank you so much for sharing. This was so much fun to do, and it makes it easier. I hate doing this on my own, so doing it with a friend is really, really appreciated. And I think the listeners get a little bit tired of just listening to me all the time. They need a little break. They need a little break.
Never. I love it. Well, thank you, and I'll see you next year when we do this next year.
Well, I hope we see each other before then.
We're gonna. It's just for the listeners. It's for, continuity. See you next year.
See you next year. At some point.
At some point.
Next year could be January.
Technically, I was going to say, I will see you next year, so.
Yes, exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly. So why don't you give the listeners your socials and where they can find you?
Yeah, I don't even know where you can find me anymore. The best places that you can find me are Blue Sky or Blueski, which is how I like to pronounce it, Blueski, and Instagram. I am at Olo Plays. You can also find me on the remains of Twitter, but also let's get off of that place. And as always, BGA at this point. I'm back to being able to do asynchronous games again at Olo Plays. Play games with me. I love it.
I need to start up a couple with you again.
Same. Yep.
Because we've been bad about keeping that up.
Yeah.
We
got busy.
Yeah. Yeah. Things were crazy, and I got a cruise coming up. So
yeah.
As long as it's no time limit, I think it's okay. That's what I love about async.
Yep.
Yeah, I don't want to get on my soapbox, but
do it.
The whole Twitter thing, I just wish publishers would get off of there, and
I know.
That's the one thing that I really have to maintain a presence on there about. So it's kind of sad.
I feel almost chained to the spot with it, where I don't, you don't want to drop off relevancy and just needing to kind of be known so that you're able to kind of stay at the forefront of the community and everything, and hope that you are pushing this very good, genuine agenda and everything. That sounds kind of crazy to talk about, but you want to be able to talk to people, and right now that still is Twitter, and I keep trying to get more folks to kind of leave it behind. And it seems like we knew everybody was just going to stay until something happened, maybe stay forever. But Yeah, Blue Sky for sure.
Blue Sky is such a wonderful community. I love it over there.
Lovely. Yep.
Yeah, it's wonderful. So if you want to go and find me, you can go to the website at cardboardtime.com, Instagram, and unfortunately Twitter is at cardboard_time. Blue Sky is just at cardboardtime, no underscore. Our Discord is on the Tabletop Express server. Just email me for an invite. If you do want that email, it is cardboardtime@gmail.com, where you can also email me for questions, suggestions, and ideas for discussion topics. The Discord is such a wonderful little place where we have wonderful discussions. It's very friendly and very safe. I've had a lot of people kind of, express that, and they're glad that there's a little community and a little pocket for them there as well. So, all right. Well, Olivia, again, thank you so much for joining me. It's much appreciated. And we will talk to you soon. I will talk to you about whatever's happening in February.
Yes.
After this.
I'm so excited. Thank you for having me on.
But for the rest of you, we'll see you in 2 weeks for another episode of Cardboard Time.